The London Spitfire just claimed victory over the Dallas Fuel 3-1. And you got to give it up to the Dallas Fuel. They've been through a lot of adversity this stage, but they ended on a strong note. And as far as the London Spitfire go, we're going to see these guys tomorrow, but whether we see them in the first match or the second match tomorrow, that still remains to be seen. Which brings us to our next bout between the NYXL and the LA Valiant. For the NYXL, all they have to do is win this match, and they get that #1 seed. They get the bye, and they are automatically in the finals match, so they are guaranteed $25,000. This is a $25,000 match for them. And the LA Valiant, they had a strong outing yesterday against the Philadelphia Fusion in which they pushed the game to 5 matched. And what better way to end this stage than to take out the #1 team? And not to mention the fact, they got the home field advantage. There's a lot of Valiant fans in here right now. So it's all up to them to make it happen. So guys, get hyped. It is time for the showdown.
The day is only getting started, and already the #1 spot is on the line right now. Welcome back, everybody. It's Pucky here at the desk. We got the whole crew. It's Zoe alongside Sideshow and Bren. Zoe, what do you think of our first series?
I loved it. It was excellent, and I loved the end of it. I don't know how many of you have actually picked up on it, but I loved the love between the London Spitfire and Rascal, former teammate. They all like hugged him and touched him. It was beautiful. I loved it.
Absolutely beautiful stuff there. For anyone who's just tuning into the show, let's catch you up with where we're at right now. Earlier in the day, we saw the Spitfire take out the Fuel. It was a 3-1 victory, which makes London in the running for the #1 seed if New York slips up now against the Valiant. But the biggest match of the day, this one will decide who is going to join New York and London in the playoffs tomorrow, Bren.
Well, again, it's a massive game, isn't it, realistically? New York, they need to win this game out against Valiant. Valiant, going to be playing spoiler, going to be trying to knock them down from that #1 seed. I always love a good match like that.
Valiant couldn't upset the Fusion yesterday, but they made the Fusion's chances of getting into the playoffs much more difficult. And now I want to know, how many of you guys want to see an upset over the #1 seed today? All right, we got some Valiant fans here in the building.
Okay, but it's not about how much you want it. It's about whether you can actually deliver when it comes down to it. And yes, they did look more impressive, actually, when they played against the Fusion. They started out a bit sloppy. They got slammed on King's Row. But when they were finally able to get agilities working well with the rest of their team, and soon came alive later on in the series with this Widowmaker that he pulled out on Gibraltar, they actually look like a team that can contest these guys at the top. Philadelphia Fusion, they could well be in our playoffs, and LA Valiant took them almost all the way.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned agilities as well, because despite the fact that, you know, Valiant like to make these moody, dark videos that are quite overdramatic in the back of fast food car parks, Agilities has been a standout player in my mind, and I've been watching him play. He's fitting a lot better, and again, it was building the momentum up as the game went on. He was meshing a lot better with the rest of his team, and that is going to be one of the keys. He just needed a burger in him, you know, just needed to fill his stomach up.
Yeah, sometimes that's all you need to do. I got to talk to the team manager. Mike Schwartz is his name, and I just, I'm really good at reading. And that's why I'm going to continue reading off my paper, because when I did ask him about, will we see more of Agility, since it was his last chance, and then they went 0-2, and it was all dramatic, and he said, our coaching staff focuses on the individual player and how they fit into the overall vision for the strategy of the team. And even though we suffered a 0-2 week, it was not on the back of Agilities alone. And our staff understands his potential and will continue to work with him. Well, that's great news.
All right, Valiant are going to need him. They need someone consistent on this lineup, because if you look at their numbers, they're coming off 3 straight losses, 2 of those in Game 5s where they missed that final control map. On the other side, you got some big names here who have been clutching up. New York also has been to 2 Game 5s, but they won both of them over Seoul and Dallas most recently. When you look at this squad, who do we need to focus in on?
I think there's 3 guys in particular, and you could reasonably make arguments for them being the best in the world at their specific roles. Sabiorbi has the #1 Tracer KD. The guy just never dies, and he continues to frag out in every single game. Jonak, you've seen him all the time. #1 in hero damage, #1 in final blows for Zenyatta, and least deaths. And of course, the guy that never really gets that much attention, but I believe is right up there, Ark. He has the least deaths out of everybody in the league on Lucio and Ana, despite playing spending the most time on Ana in the league. This is a
Ridiculous.
very consistent trio for the team.
I'm so glad you mentioned Dark, because this is a guy who, coming into stage 1, right, I would probably pin as one of the best Mercies in the league. And there was a lot of question marks surrounding it. How is other support play when he, when he's basically spent so long on Mercy and off those other flex support roles? How good is he going to be coming back into it? But no, he's turned up massively, and he is kind of almost the unsung hero of New York Excelsior in a way as well. The way he plays around Jonak, both the supports, they're very self-sufficient.
Calling as
in the
well.
back lines, his calling as well, communication, very crucial aspect that we don't really see too often.
You know what really surprised me when I got the chance to talk to him after one of the games, and I talked about his sleep darts, which were absolutely insane. He started giggling and was like, yeah, actually, my team never believes that I hit any of those, so they get super surprised when I actually do, and he does.
Yeah, we got a few highlight reels of Arc that we'll be putting together throughout the day. I feel them coming right now. Are you guys ready to kick off this match? Let's get it going. It's LA Valiant taking on the #1 seed, the New York XL.
Valiant coming in strong.
They've done it! New York Excel will carry through.
Yeah, Unko finishes him off, and it looks like Valiant are going to be able to hold just for the moment anyway.
Got Libero on the Hanzo, and there's the Shatter Arrow.
Oh, that's not going to work. Soon finds a headshot.
Say, Biobi somehow still alive.
Hey, there it is! Right in their faces to start things off. I like it.
Is that you, Vala? Let's hear it for the Los Angeles Valiant. 4-5 here in stage 2, 11-8 overall, trying to make that 12-8 as they go up against the toughest team in the league.
And I got to talk to them about their preparation for today against such a tough opponent as the NYXL. They said that actually, regardless of who they are playing, their preparation is always simple. Focus on communication, team synergy, and playing their own game rather than reacting to the game of the other team. But I feel like that could be an issue against the NYXL.
Yeah, I think that all sounds great in practice, but what really separates the good teams from the great teams or the almost unbeatable teams is your prep against specific opponents. NYXL have a very specific playstyle, and LA Valiant need to recognize this and have a game plan going in. It's all well and good working on your own gameplay, but I need to see something special from Valiant.
It looks like these guys are coming in stress-free today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can see they've got nice, happy faces on. That's always good, when they're coming in.
They got a delivery instead.
Right, enough of that. Listen, leave it. But it's easy to focus on the DPS players as well. Soon, alongside Agilities, these two guys, it's easy to focus on them. But in particular, right now, in this game today, I'm going to be looking at the tank lines again. So Fate and Envy, these guys, how they work together against a strong team like New York Excelsior is going to be imperative, very, very important when it comes to how this game is going to be playing out.
Fate, one of the key communicators on the team. Look out for the Winston today. That is your first squad. It's time to introduce their opponent as we welcome to the stage your New York Excelsior. #1 in the overall standings, #1 in the stage 2 standings. All they need to do to lock up their spot in tomorrow's title match is to win right here.
Yeah, sounds very easy on paper, but of course the Valiant will give them a good fight, I'm pretty sure. Now, earlier this week I did mention that NYXL told me they are already preparing for the playoffs, so their focus has been very split this week. However, that does not really mean that the Valiant will go under their radars. They did tell me that they expect Karif and Agilities to kind of split between the maps. They have a game plan in place for whatever, or rather whoever, they will be facing off against.
And NYXL are so unbelievably consistent as well. The only team in the league to have a 75% map win rate across basically every single map. They have a ridiculous win streak going on in terms of how they have no weaknesses, basically. You can't take them anywhere and expect to win.
75% map win rate across almost every single
all of the maps that we're seeing today.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. Consistency is the name of the game with this team. It's got me thinking, is there any weaknesses at all with this team? Because the way they play, it feels like, people say the weaknesses of Seoul Dynasty, a team like that, is that they're too Soul-like, right? They're too easy to figure out. But with New York, the way they're just outplaying almost everyone, are they soulless?
Cold
is that what you're saying? Cold hunters?
Wow.
Stone cold killers. That's what they are. I think that's the key to victory.
I can't wait to just watch Jonak. How many limbs is he going to finish with today as Zenyatta? That is the question of the day for me. Are you guys ready to get this match started? We got all 12 of our players on the stage. Let's send it over to our casters. We got Uber with Mr. X.
Many questions, indeed, to be asked and answered in this particular match. Thank you very much, Puckett and Matt. A win here will give the NYXL the top seed, the top ranking here in Stage 2. A loss of any score will put them at second.
It's a lot like Stage 1, though. NYXL still the strongest team that we have here in the Overwatch League up until this point. You know, like the desk mentioned, they don't really have a weakness. When you have such a great support duo like Jonak and Ark, I think Meko really kind of like, you know, an undersung hero for this team. You know, on that diva role, he's been phenomenal. And I think, Libero has really started to come into his own now that he hasn't really been subbed out for Pine a lot. We're starting to see his play get much better. And, you see all the different heroes he can bring in, right? Like the Hanzo, we've seen him play a little bit more Widowmaker. We see, his Pharah, his Genji. So it's going to be a very tough opponent for the Valiant to go
I
up
like
against.
that you use the word undersung for Meko, because it's not as if we don't recognize this man on his play, but sometimes it just goes unnoticed.
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot of what he's doing across the battlefield is hard to quantify, or at least put into a number, but his stats are always so good. On the other side of the divide, of course, the Los Angeles Valiant, a team that we've had unprecedented levels of transparency into memes aside. But I mean, if you look at the most recent episode of Inside the LA Valley, and here you go, Noah, free plugging for your shows, mate. Kareem said, I don't want to play DPS. I don't want to be a DPS player. I haven't done that for a year. I want to play support. So, this is what he said. He wants to be in that role. Yeah. So, yesterday on Hanamura, we actually saw Unko and Kareem playing support. They had the two flex supports. I think it was Anna and Zen. As we go on to Volskaya, Verbo is in the roster. Does indicate to us that, especially on the attacking side, we should expect to see the Lucio.
Yeah, I think that's why you have Verbo in the lineup. Obviously, he's a very good Lucio player. You think, coming in here, he will play the Lucio on a, some of the other maps where you could run like two flex supports and you can play like Zen Ana or even like a Moira Zen. You'll probably see Kareev come in. I think Agilities, I think he's been very good since coming back into the lineup. One thing I've been surprised with is his Soldier 76 play. It's looked quite well, but you know what he can bring in terms of his Genji, right? This should be a very good dive composition that comes in from the Valiant. NYXL on defense, you'll have Libero play that Widowmaker. So sometimes we see Savio B run it. Now we're going to see Libero play Widowmaker.
Here we go now out of the gates. Make some noise, Blizzard Arena. The Los Angeles Valiant go up against a New York Excelsior, a trilingual roster in the green and gold. Communication is key in this game, and for them, definitely been a challenge. Libero takes out soon before he can even utter the call.
Yeah, just trying to go through the choke, gets taken out rather quickly. So nothing even has an opportunity here to develop for the Valiant. As Envy getting chunked down. It's going to be really on agilities and the mobile tanks here. Soon actually switches from Tracer over to Widowmaker as well. So you're going to have a Widow versus Widow battle here with Soon versus Libero. The thing is there's so many different angles that Libero can take up in that high ground, right? If Soon kind of guesses wrong in this battle, just get taken out.
That's like playing whack-a-mole. At times, Libero may well have the biggest advantage if he keeps varying his positioning. Jonak very low, and Mono receives a headshot from Soon. Not the safest positioning for the Frenchman here.
They'll get rezzed up though.
That will be indeed. Right in front of the waiting eyes of the Valiant. But the Valiant had no choice but to back away because Libero had zoned them away from that sight line.
And that's where you miss the Tracer play of Soon, right? Because if you get that pick, the Tracer kind of darts in there, then you maybe have a dive going with that Mercy, yeah, and you don't get a res.
Savio being attempted to go deep, but Unko actually found him with a headshot. And this should allow the Valiant to move up now. It's a 6v4, and the entirety of the NYXL are inside that small room across the way. Libero tries to peek up and at least get some sort of periscopic view of the situation, but Ark's been taken down. Now the Valiant have got them in their clutches, and they're not letting go.
This will be the Valiant taking point A. After they switched off of the Tracer, they're able to make that work rather quickly. Now we actually start to kind of get into, some of this deeper game, Mitch, where you have these ultimates and trying to bait them out and whatnot. So the Valiant, they will have both support ultimates. Same on the side of NYXL. It's going to be an infra sight from both teams here. It's going to be Soon using his second. So it's going to be Libero switching off of Widowmaker over to Genji here. They're going to try and dive Soon in this backline.
No infra side at the moment for NYXL after the switch, but they may not need it. Transcendence forced out. Agilities, his job is done with that Dragon Blade. He shouldn't be expecting any more than that. He should be satisfied indeed. Mano trying to dive in on Unko. He's being pocketed right now, so Mano just gets picked off here. The entirety of the LA Valley peeled back beautifully. Libero trying to escape, gets the mega health back, but he could be out to sea without a paddle, and he is. Fate sends him over the edge. Agilities to wrap around the side, and Saviobi here wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, NYXL ended up using both support ults there to just try and stay alive, and Unko still with this Transcendence. So you have a big support ultimate here for the Valiant. There it is that comes out.
And they're going to move forward with that now. Use a Transcendence to give them positioning on the point. Envy sent in the mech. Oh, we actually found Arc there. That's not a kill you expect to get. You just want to zone and disengage with that use of the ultimate, but still, they found Jonak at the same time. So both supports are down for the NYXL, but the Valiant are so preoccupied with peeling for their backline, they haven't actually moved onto the point.
Yeah, they're so far away as Mono was in full rage, went back there with Libero, and they were able to force 3 members all the way in the back, but it's going to be soon picking off Libero. It's going to be a Dragon Blade here from Agilities, able to cut through Jonak. It's been a very good offense here for the Valiant.
Now, the Valiant seem more concerned about DMing with their NYXL right now. You know, playing a bit of that deathmatch. Now they move on to the objective. It's been very ponderous, very deliberate movements from Los Angeles now as they've made their way forward. Meko stalling out, Fate being challenged down at close range, but he has the primal rage to knock away. Libero and Arc on the top side, keep an eye on them on the corner of your screen. Meko now just trying to stall out the point, but Envy can't seem to hit him. Now the Transcendence in, gonna keep the Mini Diva alive a little bit longer, but Soon knows better. He can get killed through Transcendence, and he does. Mini Diva's down. Soon now sitting back, infrasight enabled. He knows Jonak sitting behind the ice wall that Mano put up, but his head is removed as well. Arc on the high ground, Soon on a running riot. And Sabiobi surely going to struggle here. The Orb of Discord was applied. He was removed very quickly. Libero tries the Dragon Blade. Nothing's working right now for the NYXL. The stall, though, is they're managing to hold on for the time being. But that'll be it. The LA Valiant come out. I'll tell you what.
They slaughtered him.
The crowd is the bark. The Valiant are the bite. They've got everything.
I mean, in terms of, you know, eliminations, kills during that game, you know, 25-2 in favor of the Valiant.
2
So
kills
just
to the NYXL.
Absolutely crushing. Both final blows came from Libero, so...
oh my lord.
Yeah, not very close there in that first half. That's great to see if you are a Valiant fan. You know, they do it a little bit different, right? You know, you rely, this team, you know, I feel like sometimes relies so much on Sood, on that Tracer to really kind of coordinate with Fate and Envy. That time, you don't run Tracer, you run Widowmaker, and you have Agilities play Genji, which, you know, as a Genji player, he can definitely, you know, he's skilled enough to kind of play a little bit on his own.
What's the trade-off if you take Soon off the Tracer and put him on the Widow? Because that's kind of why Kareev was sort of playing a lot of Widow when he was playing DPS on this roster.
I mean, Widow's just great for those opening picks, right? That's kind of why you want the Widow on the team, but you know, you need somebody to finish off the damage if the Widow doesn't put it down with kills effectively, right? So I think you want Tracer at all times. I think, look, you want Tracer in every single comp right now. I think she's just so strong. I think one of the stronger things about her is, you know, how fast you can charge Pulse Bomb, how fast you can get those tanks out of the way with Pulse Bomb. I mean, think about it, you know, D.Va is the most played hero in stage 2 here. You know, she puts down a ton of damage.
She
has a huge
99% of team
She has a huge health pool. In defense matrix is huge against a lot of ultimates. What's a quick way to get her done? Just Pulse Bomb and then, you know, a few clips and I know she's gone. I mean, effectively. So I think that's why you see Tracer all the time. And, you know, D.Va's a pretty easy target to hit with a Pulse Bomb as long as you don't come from the front side and just throw it into defense matrix.
Which happens very often. We see it a lot. However, the NYXL now on the attacking side, left that 4 minutes. So it took LA about 4 minutes in total to finish the map. So that's what NYXL are working toward now. They're going to have the Widowmaker, they're going to have the Tracer, the Mercy here for Arc. So no Lucio on the attacking side. We'll see how this plays out. It's Unco who's going to be on the Sombra. He did used to play the Sombra role on Rogue fairly often, where AKM would switch over to D.Va.
That was so nice there from the Valiant. So Unco goes in as Sombra, gets Jonak low, translocates out. Everybody for the Valiant is hiding in that left room. They jump right out with a speed boost from Verbo. Jump right on top of Jonak at the beginning. And just to remind you guys, this is, you know, previous patch, not live, so you still get that ult charge from those Sombra health packs.
Which is exactly why Unco's sitting at about 60 ult% right now. He's doing damage currently. He's just translocated back to that hacked health pack. So he'll have an EMP probably for the next fight. He probably needs one more foray into the back lines. Hopefully it doesn't get picked off. There's no McCree here for the New York, so it's going to be a little bit hard to stop Unco from getting that free damage.
So Libero will play Pharah here, so he's going to go high up in the sky. There's no hit scan on the side of the Los Angeles Valiant to kind of get him out of that sky. So you're relying on Envy to put down a ton of damage. That'll be the EMP that comes out from Unco. He connects with 5. They don't get any kills off the back of it, though.
No, Jonak even got hacked. He was already very low, hanging on by a thread before that was used. So the follow-up, and maybe communication. Again, this is a trilingual roster on the LA Valiant. 3 languages for those at home. So perhaps they just weren't quite in sync at that point in time, but this might cost them now. Unco's taken out by Meko. Pulse Bomb delivered. Or not quite for Sabiobi. They didn't quite find the mark, but he'll try and follow up on Envy and get the extra damage there. But hacked health pack, he picks it up. Unco's already almost back to another EMP, but he might not get here in time. Mano and Meko sounding the same. And they're really dominating now on those tag push into that lower room.
Well, that's where the Valiant want to play, in that lower room, right? So they want to play in the lower room. If they get positioned where they're forcing them back into the lower room, what can happen here is Libero, almost like kind of like in a way like a Junkrat, right, can just keep spamming there, and that health pack only comes off so frequently, right? When you have that Lucio as well, you're not going to really be able to keep everybody up.
Well, you have no burst healing whatsoever.
Yes.
You have very minimal healing over time anyway. That's the only issue with taking single support and Sombra. Some teams sacrifice the DPS and hopefully they can get it done with Sombra. But now Jonak's going to get hacked up. Oh, defense matrix. That was well employed, but Fate still got to grips with Jonak in the end. Now defensive use of Barra actually for Libero, trying to force the Valiant back inside the hole that they came from. And it seems to have worked for the time being. This gives Arc space to res Jonak and erase the impact of the EMP prior.
And they're going to get Unko as well. It's going to be Mono using Primal Rage. Same with Fate. Fate just trying to put pressure on the supports of NYXL. In the back, as see here from Libero's POV, gets him weak, but you can run that solo support with that Summer. It's just very hard when you're running that Lucio. You can't really switch off of it now because you have the sound barrier plus Blade to use.
Yeah, and it might have to be both of them at once here. Agilities might need a little bit of extra support to try to go in with this one, but Envy got de-suited. Here's the sound barrier and the Blade. Libero cut out of the sky. That's a way to clip the wings. But now Agilities needs to take a break here, realizes Transcendence has been used and going to the ground will be dangerous, but he finds Jonak there, getting involved. However, Meko and Mono, once again, the terrible two are doing their work over on the point itself, and Agilities and Soon have to back off it. That was a self-destruct to zone out. The Valiant look a little bit patchy, Matt. On that defensive side, again, we saw the Sombra come in. One decent EMP. The follow-up wasn't decent at all, though. And I have to say, Meko is insane with his defense matrix use.
I mean, 2 EMPs from Unko, and he EMPs 8 enemies. So, 4 enemies per EMP. I mean, that's pretty good value out of that. But the one kill I think they got in the second part of that EMP was on Jonak, and they ended up rezzing it right back up. And then you had both support ults for NYXL. And then that's when Agilities uses his Blade, right? And he has the benefits of the sound barrier. He cuts Libero out of the sky. It looks awesome, right? But then Arc just kind of goes around to the bridge and just reses him right back up. So, I mean, really, out of using Blade, sound barrier, in EMP, what did you really get? You got a kill onto Jonak because they don't res him the second time.
Not enough at all. Again, these are the pitfalls of taking that single healer composition. When we see teams that prefer to, especially on Route 66, Matt, that prefer to take the Tracer and the Sombra comp, like have those 2 flankers and then still have double support, even a Mercy sometimes used in place.
And I think you would be able to get away with it a little bit more if you could play Ana effectively, like all the time, right? But Ana obviously can't heal through stuff like Winston's barrier and whatnot, so it makes it very difficult when like the 2 Winstons are fighting on the point to even get anything done.
It's one of the only healers where defense matrix cuts off your healing as well, which is pretty annoying. So the Valiant, a good time to start with, definitely nothing to snort at. The New York Excelsior matched it and in fact bettered it by about 45 seconds. So now it's back to the grind. Groundhog Day, as Sabiobi does note with interest that the Valiant are crossing over here on the far side. So Mano and Meko are playing in the middle on top of this building here. So Sabiobi's going to be joining them and also be able to sort of pull back to his backline. The rest of the NYXL are playing inside that same lower room. This is where the Valiant trying to dive. They're split in 2 right now. They're 3 and 3, Matt, as they're trying to approach. And Geordie's a little bit no man's land right now. Doesn't really have a successful dive. And you'll note there that Fate is waiting outside the door.
Yeah, they're just trying to put pressure on the Libero in that back. Oh, they catch Envy out. Not able to de-mech him, though, as Envy playing pretty far away from Fate. That's going to force everybody back up, right? Because you need to get that Diva at full HP if you want to go in there. Dive. You see Libero barely dodging a headshot there from Soon, but it doesn't dodge that.
Oh, Libero.
Be Jonak taking out Soon.
You can't kill the enemy Widowmaker with your Widowmaker? Oh, no worries, bro. I'll just come in and give him some balls. All good. Pulse Bomb dropped. Unko walks over the top of it. That wasn't a stick, so Unko, they're just maybe making the error of moving forward. Verbo does resurrect him, but again, it's not a resurrect that actually means anything in the grand scheme of things, because the Valiant still have to disengage regardless.
And this is, I feel like, the Valiant playing into how NYXL wants them to work, right? The Valiant, their dive has been so good, right? With Soon's coordination with Envy and Fate. When you play this Widowmaker, it kind of forces the other team to respond, right? Whether you dive once or twice and it doesn't work. We haven't seen the Valiant try that at all, right? Soon played Tracer for 1 spot.
1 HP for Libero. somehow still alive. Agilities finds Mano after Unco had fallen, so that was another defensive dive from the New York Excelsior, working out for the most part. However, NYXL down to 5, so there is a chance to apply some pressure given that Meko is the only tank currently standing, and Agilities so badly wants to unsheath the blade, but he needs to wait for the right time. He wants a bit of Libero, or maybe you'll get more than that. Savior was there with an orb, but Agilities got burst down so low, had very little HP support when he went in with that blade. No support ultimates were used, so it's a risky job.
And he uses that blade, and Jonak doesn't even flinch, doesn't pop Transcendence, knows he's good throughout the entire time. So that is huge. You hold on to that Transcendence because Unco has held on to his as well.
That's not a blade. This is a blade. Pulse bomb for Savior over here. Agilities here just gets caught out in the window. Verbo knows he's in deep, deep trouble. Trying to join up now with Unco and Soon. But again, the Valiant have to really try and collapse around their own backline and protect Soon, keep that Widowmaker alive. It makes them a little bit unwieldy, kind of ruins their mobility somewhat. This isn't a dive composition from the LA Valiant, not a true one. So it's kind of, they're getting split a little bit, 3 and 3.
Yeah, I mean, it puts pressure on Agilities to finish off these kills as Genji, which we know that Genji is not really the one who typically finishes with a lot of those final blows. It's usually your Diva and your Tracer who are picking up, a lot of those limbs towards the end.
Libero would like to wrap around and get a bit of an unexpected position. This Pulse Bomb could be very nasty. Oh, he sees them off. Pulse Bomb thrown back. This time Unco manages to avoid it. Backline of Los Angeles, a little bit rattled, but not taken down yet. Soon loses the Widow battle to Libero, though, and that might be the beginning of the unraveling here for the Los Angeles Valiant. Verbo, ice cold, gets the Resurrect on Soon mid-fight. Definitely a bit of a clench moment there to bring him back. But the Valiant, where's the pressure coming from? Where are these picks? They need to start the fight off at a man advantage.
And Verbo had used his Valkyrie a little bit earlier. You're going to have Transcendence and Valkyrie here for NYXL. They're going to use both at the same exact time.
Time's running out. 23 seconds left in the round. Agilities once again has a Dragon Blade. The question is, will he be backed up? Will he be set up for success? No, he will not! Meko shuts him down with the micro rockets, but Soon had found 2 off screen. Mano and Jonak are down. Big self-destruct to clean up Uncovered Soon with 3 for the fight thus far. That may have just cleaned this one up here for the Los Angeles Valiant. It's just Ark and Sebiobi left, and Ark's been taken down by Agilities, who finally gets to grips with his foe. Soon will forge ahead. Check to see if there's any cheeky attempts at a stall or retake. It won't be the case, and the Valiant keep themselves afloat for now.
It looks like Savior-B is still kind of hanging out as the Valiant push on by here. As we can take a look from Soon's POV. As Savior-B is actually hiding when they're starting to push in here. Mitch is still behind the Valiant. Maybe he's able to hit a pulse bomb here. You see, he still has that ultimate. Look, this is where he's lurking. I have this up on the mini-map.
This would be the game ending.
Yeah, he's going to try and get one of these supports.
8 seconds left. Savior-B can hear Soon above him. He has been spotted, so Soon's aware of this. You can't see Soon on the screen right now, but he's literally standing directly above.
Envy backed up and looked. I don't know if they exactly saw him, though.
Oh, this is good timing. A D-suit on Meko would be fantastic here, and the Valiant get it. Fake dropping onto the point. Couple seconds left in Primal Rage. Try and get Libero out towards the side. He couldn't pursue Libero, got around the corner, and he can't jump around corners. However, Fate sets up on the point, throws down the barrier, but no, the Transcendence coming in. The New York Excelsior now just lean into this support ultimate and set up. Overtime is done, and the Valley will have to settle for just the 1 extra checkpoint.
And I'm going to go out on a limb there, and I don't think they saw Savior-B, because when they started to push on through, Soon was just set up in the middle on the ground at the front of the gate. And as soon as Savior-B comes on the flank, he just eliminates Soon and then goes up on top and takes out Unco from behind. So I don't know if they knew he was there.
Yeah, we crossed away from him to the fight on the point when he actually started to do work. But I thought they'd noticed him because I saw some shots maybe.
It looked like Envy.
Fate.
Yeah, it looked like Envy turned and fired some shots, but
perhaps they had no choice anyway. They probably had to
go.
Proceed.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't let the fact that there's a Tracer behind you. Let's listen to the Valiant comms as they took point A.
I don't
What a main point, what a main point.
Oh, yeah, okay. We don't go upper, we don't know who. Right upper.
We can go right.
Come left. Okay. Maybe me.
Don't
Left side, right. Support left.
Oh, I'm on.
Support left.
Okay, yeah.
Support left.
Yes. Go.
Yeah, I'm going in. Let's go. I'm a Maki no jump. Take space. Put them in.
There you go. So, Fate, a very vocal player on this team. His English is very good. He was actually one of the first. He was part of the first wave of Korean players to come and play for a Western team. He joined, the team Immortals just before Contender Season 1 began. Or was it Season 0 even?
I think
Either way, it wasn't a great Season 1 for Immortals, but Fate's come a long way. So You can see that there's, you know, some insistent calls going on. Like, listen to me, let's do this. And everyone trying to get on the same page. Unko spotted Sabiobi here, some free damage, wouldn't go amiss. Sabiobi didn't want to use a recall there.
He gets really weak though. I think Libero actually connected with a shot on him there.
Did he actually recall in the end? He might have had to. Hard to say. He's going to do it again. Now to harass Libero. So Unko just being a pest right now. A Hornet in the bonnet of the NYXL. Agility's trying to keep himself clear of flailing arms and other weaponry, but he's been able to combine with Envy to find Jonak here, who was slightly out of position. Envy's had to give up his mech to do so, and somehow Fate gets caught in the crossfire. Meko just shredding the LA Valiant. It's too aggressive, this defense. They're going too far forward, Matt. They're giving up so much crowd, trying to dive on the back line.
They got so aggressive to take out Jonak that when they dived into the room, Meko comes in a little bit late, you think, with his defense matrix, right? But then he just body blocks the tanks of the Valiant in that small room.
He micro rockets him point blank.
They kill him, and then what do? They have the Mercy, so they just res Jonak right back up. So didn't really get much of anything there. If anything, now he kind of built up arc here towards Valkyrie. That he will have that Mercy ultimate for the next fight, as Unko will have an EMP. You need to make good use of this EMP. It may end up saving you.
The Valiant have got to claw this one back, but Fate has already dropped a Sabiobi. Once again, Fate trying to be aggressive on the defense, has given his life over. He's the man making a lot of the calls. He wanted to go in, but no! Oh my lord, the Valiant just step off the point. NYXL trot on up, set up a bit of a, you know, a table, get the sandwiches out, and have a snack.
They never had an opportunity to get to the point because Sabiobi and Mono jump right there, and then Meko throws his self-destruct pretty much a little bit further than that entry point, that first choke, which the Valiant can't kind of run past it to get back towards the point. They would have been out in the open, so they hide in that little health pack room, and all they needed was one tick, and they're able to get it.
LA Valiant start the match off strong, Matt. They look incredibly good on their attack, but they look shaky at best on defense, and it turned into a bit of a mess towards the end of the map. Let's see if they can recover in map 2 after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Today on Toyota's Access Grand Today, I'm picking up Silk Thread and Verbo from the Los Angeles Valiant. We're going to chat about their upcoming match with the Philadelphia Fusion and what it's like living in Los Angeles. Against Philly, what do they do so well as a team, you think?
I think their strength is like the chaotic style they play. That's more of just like brawling and then letting their mechanical ability carry them through.
Just praying Shadowbird and Carpage don't kill all of you.
Right, yeah.
There you go, a little bit more of Toyota's Access Granted, which will premiere next week. Matt?
Monday.
And yeah, if you
I felt like that was tomorrow, but it's only
No, it's not. Yeah, no, right. We still got one more day of this. Yeah, if you see the full version, you'll even see the In-N-Out burger trip, so keep an eye out for that one. You're good to hear a little bit, though, from Silk Thread. We haven't seen him in a while. We talked a little bit about that Philly match. I mean, Los Angeles were called on yesterday to try and get the Gladiators into the playoffs, right? And that's such a tough ask in such a big match. It was such a close affair,
It was such a sick game yesterday between Philly and the LA Valiant. You know, you saw some big plays from like Verbo at the end, right? I know on Neptuno,
Sound barrier cancelled, and then he had his cancelled.
Such a crazy match.
But I might be a miss here, Matt. And let me know if I am. But that performance we just saw from the Valiant there looked confused, disjointed, discombobulated. Yeah. It didn't look like the Valiant that we saw yesterday.
It was very Valiant. You know, they looked amazing right at one point. And then then on the other side of the coin, like they just have those games and halves where they're just not there. Like that first offensive push by them was just nasty, right? They just slaughtered NYXL. And then where to go?
Really clean.
And then where to go? Yeah, it does look really clean, whatnot. Obviously, a lot of credit to NYXL for the changes they made, right? You know, bringing in some different heroes in terms of, you know, Libero playing the Pharah, right, on offense.
Great adaptation.
Yeah, so they were able to make some adjustments and changes. But that's kind of been, it's really, you know, Valiant Stage 1 was so consistent, right? And then, like, now in Stage 2, I feel like that's kind of been how they played, right? We've seen them, you know, put Kareev in on DPS. He's looked good. Agility's in on DPS. They've looked good. But it's just like as a team, just something just not clicking all the time.
Honestly, you know, the previous stage where we saw the Valiant be very, very close to making the playoffs, it was much more their, you know, I feel like at least they struggle a little bit with Mercy. They didn't really like sort of having Mercy in the picture. They had two flex support players primarily, and then with Verbo sitting on the bench. So now, justifiably, you'd think with a little bit less of that Mercy in the picture that they would be able to succeed a bit more. But once again, you know, it's tough for these teams to adjust not only to their own mistakes or correct their own mistakes midweek, but also prepare for their opponents.
I would say the thing that's messed with the Valiant so much is, you know, having to play a little bit more 7d6 than they probably would have liked, and then same with, you know, a little bit more Widowmaker than they would have liked here in Stage 2, because now it's so important to have that one player who can do, you know, fill that Genji 76 Widowmaker role.
Kind of a weird, it's a
weird,
yeah. You need like a hit scan player that also plays the Genji, so not easy to find.
But it's huge, because look at what Libero brings to this team, right? He can play all those different heroes, whatnot. No, for the Valiant, you have to make some substitutions, and it becomes a little bit clearer of what they're going to run so the other team can prepare for it. Double off tank here for NYXL, combo that with Libero playing Pharah up in the sky. They'll have Agility's play, well, he was playing Pharah. Is that now he's dead?
Yeah. He's gone with the wind, and the rest of the Valiant have decided to back up there. Unco will have a peek and get a little bit of ult percent, but that's really all there is to be said for that one. Perhaps it was Agility's lingering a little bit longer than the rest of the Valiant, who were already appeared to have pulled out. But really, you know, you can't predict what goes on with those Pharah head-to-heads.
He's also not, he was playing Pharah without a Mercy, right? You know, playing with a Lucio and a Zen, so you're only going to have that Harmony Orb, and then with all the damage that, you know, the Roadhog and the D.Va can put down on the ground with that Tracer.
Is it worth doing that?
Can't exactly, you know, just leave that Harmony Orb on him up in the sky. No, not really. I mean, you kind of need to heal everybody on the ground. Like, especially when you have, like, a guy like Mono playing Roadhog, right? You know, just such a large HP pool. Like, it's going to take a while to chunk these players down. You need to heal them up on the point.
Sabiobi sets himself up on the point early, then realizes he's about to face the full brunt of the wrath of the tank line of the Valiant, so he steps back. Soon seems to want to go for Jonak, and I don't think there's any way the Zen could save himself. Sabiobi knew it as well. Saw the Pulse Bomb dropped in. Now it's his time to try and even the score. Get it back.
It's going to get rezzed up, though. That kill on a Jonak gets rezzed up there, so Arc using Valkyrie just brings Jonak back into the fight. This is probably the hardest part of the match for Libero to make a difference, right? When the fight comes down here onto the point.
Yeah, that's so dangerous, especially when there's a Soldier 76 at large. Mano's down too soon. Transcendent's using the point. The Pulse Bomb dropped on Meko here, so what I find interesting, Matt, is that they layered Sound Barrier and Transcendence in that fight. The Valiant were already at a two-man advantage, and then they used both of their support ults simultaneously. And while this is nice from Agilities, the fight was already won by the Valiant. not the play to use both ults.
Well, NYXL did end up using both of their ults as well, as Arc was about 50% to another Valkyrie kill switch over to Lucio. So now you see they go completely away from that Pharah Mercy comp.
All right, so that's a fair question, Matt. Like, do the Valiant sort of just say, oh, they use a sound barrier, we're going to use one as well? Because they were at the man advantage, like they were 6v4.
I mean, now you know that you have all the ultimates in terms of supports reset.
Kind of reset, yeah.
But I mean, obviously, still you would love to have that ultimate, but you need to get the point back, right? If you would have let them linger a little bit longer, you don't know if you see a rocket barrage come through from Libero. As Libero switches over to Genji, he's able to get Unko.
Oh, he gets around the corner.
And gets around the corner.
Very
much
cheeky.
longer, though.
Agility's from long range, can't quite connect as many bullets onto Arc as he would have liked. He has to back out, so that Tat Visor, I mean, this has been a tough match for Agility so far, Matt. Over these first 2 maps, he hasn't managed to get very much done with his ultimate abilities. Whether it's been Genji or Soldier 76, he's being shut down, but so is both supports on the side of NYXL. That might be an opening for the Valiant here. Yeah, they're hanging around the point. They want to commit to this.
Yeah, the supports from NYXL just left alone there to kind of deal with Fate as he's using Primal Rage. Doesn't work out too well for those supports, as it will be the Valiant getting close to taking this point back, though, as Meko goes in for a touch. You have both supports for NYXL in the mix. You see Jonax going to use his Transcendence here.
Now he got his twice as fast as Unko. That says a lot about how Jonax been able to have an impact on these fights in terms of damage and healing. And with the first 3 picks already coming up in favor of the NYXL, that's it for the Valiant. They're going to get bundled out at this point unceremoniously here, thrown off the mountain. And that's it for overtime. NYXL are going to take the first round here in Nepal.
You saw good discipline from NYXL also. Now, Libero is doing good on the Pharah. The things are working with that Pharah Mercy. As soon as the point flips, where a lot of teams would have given it maybe one more crack at it, right? They switch. They go right to that Genji and Lucio combination.
Jonak, I mentioned, by the way, that he farmed his second Transcendence twice as fast as Unko, and actually he's reflected in the statistics. He's got about double the damage that Unko has been able to get on their Zenyatta.
We also have to take into account probably getting some love from
fat damage boost.
Yeah, some damage boost there as well.
Well,
they did play Mercy.
Yeah, that's Arc was playing. Was he playing Lucio there? Or was it Mercy?
He played Mercy until they switched off.
That's
of the
right.
bar,
They did have the Libero Pharah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. We know that Jonak is often the recipient of the damage boost on this team. They recognize the power of Zenyatta.
And just look at the comps on this point here on Nepal. Like, how much has this changed from the beginning of the stage, right? Like, now we're seeing like a lot of Widowmaker played on this point. Junkrat's coming back into the mix, and Pharah as well. That'll be Libero who takes out Verbo at the beginning.
I mean, he was already hooked, and you can see that it looks like NYXL have gotten the drop on LA. I don't think the Valiant expected this wraparound at all. I mean, again, Orisa makes a heck of a lot of noise, so does Roadhog. I think they're actually the loudest heroes in the game, but perhaps, for whatever reason, the Valiant weren't ready to be flanked by this very tanky composition. So it's an easy fight win there, and you can see that Libero is adding his concussive mine into the hooks from Meko to secure these one-shot kills. I mean, you've got the hook, the Hulk, and the concussive mine, and the Jonak right click, and the Savior Obi. This is like Pig City.
Man, it's not been pretty for the Valiant here on Nepal thus far. Savior Obi just looking for angles. He'll know that there's no Pharah on the other side now, right?
Agility's! Oh, he's over!
And now they'll definitely know.
Agility's
is on the side.
Yeah, he's either going to get Mondada's gold or a big old double-double, man. I don't know what's at the bottom yet. Maybe we'll find out. Verbo gets blown up. Orb of Discord makes it so easy for Meko to put him on a Parby. This is so filthy. And now the NYXL are going to pressure forward. Envy had fallen prior. Meko just going to hold the door. And that's that for now. 43% to nothing.
Yeah, and they're going to get, NYXL's going to get their ultimates here on the board a little bit quicker as well. As you see Libero, in terms of Riptire, right? 90% to Agility's at 20, although Agility's just switched off Pharah. But that's why it kind of hurts you at the beginning of the game if you have to switch off of those and you lose that first fight, because now you're so far behind, and your Libero will get an extra Riptire, which think about how big that is in terms of the overall map.
Again, disadvantage is actually the least important thing on this map when you're playing pick compositions, because the first pick is actually way more crucial. However, you can set them up with things like Infrasight. You can see here NYXL, they turn 1 kill and they turn it into 3.
And they use Transcendence there for the Valiant, so you blew that support ult there. They try and push on through. This may be able to get res. Yeah, Mono will jump in front. Arc will res that out. So.
And then no harm, no foul for NYXL. They trade 1 for 1, they get the res, so they have a one-man net advantage.
And look, we're at 90% of the point. Agility is still only 34% towards Riptire. You probably won't get a Riptire here. Both support ults available for NYXL. This is their point to lose.
No Riptires, Libero. Just got about almost as much percentage as Agilities did in 1 bit of damage. So now the Valiant challenged the point here. Envy knocked up into the air. Fate got blown up by a concussive mine. Soon trying to even the legendary found Sabiobi, but it's going to take a lot more. A res here. Unko brought back up instead of one of the tanks here, so not as much value as could have been gained. Then Agilities just trying to find some kills here. Concussive mine goes in on the Joan up, an hour in overtime, and the whole hog going to be forcing everyone away. Soon can't stick around on the point. He's too fragile for that one, and Jonak busts him right up. Verbo hooked in, and that's going to be it. The NYXL just demolish LA. Nepal, it's painted red.
And Libero just had himself a game here. 19 limbs, 14 final blows. That is more final blows than the Valiant had final blows as a team.
Unbelievable. I mean, the dominance here is very clear to see for the NYXL. Cool, calm, and collected, and they play their composition better than LA do. They find these first picks, they snowball them into fight wins. Big team wipes, Riptides have been landing. Halftime around the corner. See you in a bit.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. The Valiant haven't made anything easy, but it's the New York XL with the lead coming into the half. Currently the #1 seed, and if they get one more win here, boys, that's going to be the case when we go into the playoffs tomorrow. Welcome back to the desk, everybody. It's Puckett, we got Bren, we've got Sideshow, and we got two games to talk about here, starting with Volskaya. And as we loaded up Volskaya Industries, we kind of set the scene, right? New York, they're the favorites coming in, trying to lock up that #1 seed, focused on the playoffs.
but it looks like they're already in the playoffs at times. On the other side, Valiant putting up a tough fight.
Yeah, and Valiant had two very different strategies going into this. On the offense, they were running soon on the Widowmaker, slow kind of tempo, gonna slowly push NYXL out of the fights and rely on soon getting the picks. When it turned to the, and that worked really well for them, but when it turned to the defense, they were running this Sombra composition that Uber and Mr. X were talking about so much. You can see on your screen here. You have to play very fast when you have these guys. You don't have very much healing. There's no sustain. You can't play slow. And when they were trying to increase the tempo, they just don't have the cohesion to be able to make it work at the moment. And they fell to pieces.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would make an argument that they were trying to play at that high tempo, but it was the fact that New York was so good that they were getting ripped apart when they were trying it. Like he said, you know, they lack the cohesion because the team has a bit of potentially communication issues there because they've got so many different nationalities in the team. That, you know, there is reasons to blame it on that, in that aspect at least. But yeah, throughout the game, they were trying to play the high tempo. They were trying to play around the Sombra in that half pack room as well, trying to take the damage, build up the EMPs quickly, but New York far too clever for it.
Yeah, in SPV, you guys saw the replays. He's just tearing it up. One of the best tracers, if not the best tracers in the game, showcasing his skill in game number 1. When we went to Nepal, though, you heard Mr. X mentioning a different DPS player on this New York XL. Libero was mentioned over and over again, but it just seemed the whole squad was able to roll the Valiant. What were you seeing, Sideshow?
What I loved in the first fight of this one when Mano started on the Roadhog is that he didn't even take part in the fight. He let Libero go in and the rest of the team, and Libero just 1v1'd agilities in the sky when they were both playing Pharah. I agree with you. Libero had a great performance here on Nepal. And they tried a couple of counter compositions against each other, particularly over on Sanctum. And again, it's just New York XL have a plan coming into each one, and they know exactly how to execute it. They got a great idea of the strategy, I think.
Yeah, and again, this kind of map 2 was much more one-sided than that initial map 1, and I think I actually do have a reasoning for that. It's something that I made notice of at the first map, and as we were transitioning, I was talking to Captain Planet, our stats guy as well, about it, and we've got a great stats card that really shows you how Valiant were basically approaching these fights because it was all on agilities. Agilities was trying to focus down Jonak a lot of the time. And if you notice, the important statistic here is the deaths per 10 minutes. So first map, much higher, but as the games went on, as we went into map 2 and later on into Volskaya as well, Jonak started to be protected a lot more. He was playing a little bit more defensive, and they were punishing agilities a lot more for these aggressive dives onto him. And that's really what's changed as these games have evolved and as it's moved on. Jonak is staying alive a lot longer. He's able to get a lot more done if you compare as well the final blows per 10 minutes. He is actually having a very dominant game now, later on, now that he's being protected a little bit more.
The only man who can compare to Jonak is Jonak on that Zenyatta. All right, Sideshow, let's talk about the second half. So far, it's looking like it's all New York up to this point. We still have at least 2 more games to go. It could go to another Game 5. If it's somehow gonna get there, how does the Valiant stay in the series? Are there any weaknesses? Hold on, let me fix my posture.
You did say the only guy who can stand up to Jonak is Jonak. I think you're looking pretty good right now, Puckett, on the Zen.
Thank you. My Zen skill. It's beautiful.
I can tell you firsthand, you do not want Puckett on Zen in your ranked games.
I'm not healing. I'm not healing, baby. All right clicks all day.
But yes, you asked me if there's any weaknesses of NYXL coming into the game, and it is difficult to find them. But if we take a look at a replay of Volskaya, if we dial the time back over to Volskaya here, and I want to point out one guy in particular over for the NYXL, and that is Meko. And I'll try and explain Meko's role on the team, because when they play, usually they love to give these guys a lot of defense. They love to give Jonak and Ark a ton of space at the back to work with, particularly when Libero is playing something like the Widowmaker. And Meko has the job of deciding whether he wants to play forward and help out the rest of his team, Mano and Sabiorbi, who'll be going aggressive, or whether he wants to peel back and protect his supports. And by juggling the Diva around, as in juggling, as in trying to make Meko commit to the front line and then attacking the back, or trying to make him peel for the supports and then going forwards. You can see at the moment that Meko is kind of in the middle of the fight. He doesn't really know it. He's just had to go backwards to peel Fate off. But now Mano and Sabiorbi have gone in on the dive, and he doesn't really know whether to follow them or whether to back off, because they've got a single player Fate in the back line from the Los Angeles Valiant, and all the rest of the guys are clumped up here trying to deal with Mano and Sabiorbi. So by putting a lot of pressure on Mano and then drawing Meko forwards and then hitting the back line and drawing Meko backwards, you can juggle NYXL's Diva forwards and backwards to the point where Meko doesn't know where he wants to commit. And by playing this more slow, pokey style where you can choose, you slow down the game and you choose, do we want to go for the back, do we want to go for the front? You can kind of outplay Meko a little bit. And that's, at the moment, it looks to be one of their only ways of being able to crack him open.
Some of the best gameplay we've seen so far is when Soon has been on the Widowmaker. Do you want to see him in the second half playing this hero more?
Yeah, we're going into Hollywood and Route 66. I think this is the play for them. Either that or you bring Kariv out. Get your boy Kariv out on the roster. He can play a pretty good Widowmaker as well.
All right, we'll see how this one all plays out. Before the commercial break, can we please show some love? We got Jackie and Melanie, the two superheroes who make this possible. One more time. Give it up for everyone here in the Blizzard Arena. We got 2 more matches, the second half here of match 2, coming your way in just a bit.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone.
In the mix.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Halftime is done, and now we need to see if the Los Angeles Valiant are the winds of fate blowing in their direction. Is fate even going in the same direction as the rest of the Valiant? We talked about it a little bit on the desk as well. I love the breakdown the Sideshow showed us about some of the ways that Los Angeles actually managed to, manipulate Meko and try and break into the really solid defense of the NYXL.
It's just NYXL just too strong, man. Like their defense consistently, game after game, very good. Janice will come in here for
Talk
Hollywood.
about that strong defense.
So this is a substitution they usually make, where Janice will come in for game 3, potentially even game 4 and beyond.
Why is the camera still on?
No, yeah, he's like, just take it off, put the map graphic up. That's the LA Valiant don't make any changes, so have not seen Kariv thus far. I know in this series, so we'll see. Maybe we see him game 4 if you really want like that Widowmaker in the game, but
I mean,
Not coming in here in Hollywood.
Oh, well, you can do that. For Route 66, it's definitely a possibility. Either that or Gibraltar, regardless of the map pool, is great for that Widow play, as we know.
You figure if you wanted a Widow, you'd want one here in Hollywood.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
So that may not be the case. Or we do see Soon sort of play the Widowmaker and they forego the Tracer once again. I have seen Agilities play Tracer. He has played it on occasion.
Yeah. He played it a little bit during Contenders.
Yes, he did. Yep. They didn't go well in Contenders, Matt. It was that'd be an accurate statement as well. Shameful display. But that's the way it goes. So I'll be interested to see now sort of the differences here as well. With Janus and Meko are slightly different in terms of their approaches. Janus, we know, often shows up on that Reinhardt as well, if the occasion sort of begs for it. But it'll probably more likely be on the Winston.
Yeah, the last time we cast NYXL going up against Seoul Dynasty, remember they tried that weird comp on this map with like Libero on Hanzo and Savio B played Pharah, and it didn't work out. They ended up getting, I believe, full health there.
They, yeah. It was interesting. We've also seen like the double sniper comp from between the two of them. Savio B plays an incredibly good Widowmaker.
Yes.
That we've seen already. Do you need it on this map? No. Especially defensively, absolutely not. Maybe on the second stage for some fun and games, you can actually play double sniper. It kind of has like a Dorado-esque feel, like the second stage Dorado, having snipers is good. But having the ability to climb or to get up high is even more important. And NYXL, I love this. Defensive Pharah. We started to see defensive Pharah appear on Eichenwald in stage 1. It's all about blasting the chokes, getting free poke damage, and pressuring the attackers as they come forward.
It's also, you force either Agilities or Soon to play a hit scan. So now Soon does not play Tracer because if you think of Harvard on the other side, that is a very fast pickoff there onto Agilities as he will. Is he going to even get rezzed up? No.
Yeah, welcome to Hollywood, Agilities. There's no business like show business, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you hold on to the rest, just let him come back, so.
Yeah, I mean, they'd rather save the cooldown for a little bit later on.
It's going to be really hard because Soon trying to get through this choke here. Libero can just keep spamming it with rockets as he does finally make it through, but pretty slow character, right? He gets hit with one rocket, Savio B is going to dart right at him, try and take him out.
If it's damage boosted rocket, it's almost going to kill him as well. It'd be just like a little spray from Savio, and that would be enough to get the job done. Speaking of which, 80 damage per rocket. Soon really feeling the burn now, forced back in the room. Couple shots on Libero. Look at the damage he took just upon landing. Janus closing the gap and forcing Soon out of the fight quite early. Soon will try and wrap around to the cafe with Unco, and we'll see that the Valiant have actually managed to infiltrate that part of the map.
Yeah, they know they're there though, as now Unco is still in that cafe behind. Fate gets in, and taking out Janus, that takes some of the pressure off of Unco, and he's able to make it back in, and he's got a Transcendence.
Yeah, Agilities though needs to drop lower to actually benefit from that healing. You can see he does. He dubs altitude briefly just to get topped up. Fate's brought back into the fight, and Agilities, you can see he's looking at Libero here. Use the concussive blasters to try and get himself into position, but it's a slippery target to try and connect with. Oh, that was Soon helping out with the damage. Agilities and Soon combined to deal with Libero. He's just rezzed up though. The Mercy's having a huge impact over this series in general, and the Self-Destruct will force Agilities away. The rest of the Valiant there are forced into a really nasty spot, and that's Libero and Savio B punishing.
And Savio B is able to get both supports. He gets Soon extremely weak, where he's not able to come around the corner. The rocket barrage takes the life of both tanks, where NYXL will be able to hold on defense for the time being. Next fight though, Mitch, you're going to have Valkyrie, Rocket Barrage, and a Deadeye Primal Rage for the Valiants. So a good stockpile of ultimates to potentially take this.
One thing that stood out to me about the last fight was that Soon and Agilities really had to pool their resources to just remove Libero from the fight. And guess who that leaves free? Your boy Savio B right here. He has a pulse bomb now, so if Libero can continue to attract that much attention, Savio B can really get to work. Soon's very low. The Orb of Harmony's not going to keep him alive for much longer. And then Savio B spots 3 players sitting back for the Valiant. Sees the Pharah and the double supports. Pulse bomb connects. Unco is down, but Savio is not done there. Verbo looking worse for wear and Envy with the Discord Orb. This is going to be a brutal stagger.
I would love to know, this is going to sound extremely odd, but as a player myself, you saw at the beginning when he was hiding, on his player cam, he's looking at the player's monitor next to him. I would love to know who he sits next to, because if it's Janus, then he's able to see exactly where these players are and how weak they are on his screen, and then able to just dart around the corner.
Clever, isn't it? You have potentially 3 different views of the battlefield.
Obviously, you're taking your eyes off your own screen, which could be pretty deadly, but
that is true.
Just a quick glance over at a teammate, right? give you a great idea of where these players are at.
There you go. This is slower from the Valiant. Slow push in. They're going to try and make the approach. Meko cut very low, and Fate uses the Primal Rage inside the cafe. It's going to be very hard to stay alive. Meko mini-D before. He was waiting for the self-destruct, but he couldn't get back into his mech. He didn't have time. Arc brings Jonak back. Janus tries to abscond from the fight briefly and just get a position where he can secure a 1v1 during this Primal Rage or force Agility's out. He does that, but Agility's head straight back over the top, and he is followed. Janus is there. You see the Envy, Unco, and Verbo trying to stick together. Envy flicks back with the defense matrix, keeping his backline safe. Unco might be in jeopardy. No! Verbo walks straight into the pulse bomb. He takes one for the team, but it might cost them ultimately with Unco now falling to Janus and Fate down. This was supposed to be the fight that the Valiant were going to win, but Sabioe and Janus have derailed any chances of that happening.
And they had both tanks on the point there, the Valiant. They were making some good percentage, and they were just trying to have the other players stay alive, but Sabioe and Janus just too strong. Soon still behind enemy lines here as he is battling Sabioe. They got to get a touch here on the point.
Agility dashes on, but realizes he has to step back immediately. Onto the point goes Fate, and Libero hovers over the top. It's a barrage to end the round. Envy didn't know what hit him. It came from above, and he was out, lights out, before it even registered. Now Sabioe will be forced into a recall on the point. Jonak, 3 kills from the Zenyatta. Finally goes down to Soon. But if there's one man who was going to stand tall and stop the Valiant in their tracks, it turned out to be Jonak. No surprises there. And there you go, Sabioe sat next to Janus, Matt.
Yeah, so you sit next to that main tank, right? Because when he's hiding in that small room, because think about it, it also like helps not flooding comms, right? Him asking like who's there, how weak they are, right? He can just sit around the corner from his main tank and just kind of just peek over just a little bit. We can get this through Jonak's perspective.
That's it. That's sick. Just sitting at the back doing a Macarena. For some reason, all of his opponents are dying.
That?
Yeah, he's, you know, throwing out the hands, bro.
So Bren would say throwing shapes.
Throwing shapes, yep. That's it. Complex shapes, you know what I mean?
That'll actually be the
shapes.
That'll actually be the only thing I'll consider saying that Bren says. Everything else is just kind of throw it out.
For God's sakes, goodness me, man. Ting. All about that London ting, the kids call it these days. Don't know what that is.
That's what the kids are talking
about.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We are not kids.
No, I act like one, but chronologically speaking, I'm not. So with a full hold there from New York, for those, you know, the veterans in the audience, you know what this means. The Valiant are up the creek without a paddle. They need to full hold themselves here to stay in the map. This could be over very quickly. You know, I'll try and set expectations here for you guys. NYXL have shown to be very, very good in the attack, and the Valiant have been not good in defense so far over this series. I use Volskaya as an example of a very shaky Valiant defense. They must shore that up here.
Well, if Agility's played Junkrat, obviously to spam the choke here. Junkrat, a very effective hero that soon will play 76 because you're scared, you know, the potentially, you know, another Pharah pick coming in from Libero. NYXL, they have so many options here they could use, right? I mean, you can play Hanzo, you could play Pharah if you're no Libero. You could play quad tank with a Moira here, as Moira pretty good going through the chokes onto the point. So, ton of options. The Torbjorn on offense will not be the one that they go with, though. It'll be Mark will switch over after firing, I know, a Sonic Arrow or Scatter Arrow probably into one of these doorways. It's going to be a Sonic Arrow to the top left, see if anybody's there. So he's going to go to Mercy, pocket Libero up in the sky.
Nothing like a bit of peace of mind going forward. And again, the Valiant have actually played that aggressive defense setup on previous maps, so I think they tried it on the pull. So it's good to know for NYXL coming forward, they're not going to lose a fight. They have a whole 4 minutes, so it's not the end of the world for them. But you see Jonak here, by the way, just mostly setting up on his own, drops down now. A pick from him would be game over.
And the Pharah pick from Libero allows them to gain some space and get through that first choke, you know, pretty easily. And it's kind of scary, right? A lot like Volskaya, where they were playing on that Mega Health Pack, the Valiant, and the Pharah gave them a lot of trouble. It's the same type of thing here, right? You can kind of almost imagine this cafe in the same way, and just raining down rockets into it.
So good, Matt, at punishing the cafe. Verbo once again gets one of the ice cold reses. He's starting to pump out, and Agility's his back, but he can't do much about the Pharah, if I'm honest with you. Libero's going to hover a little closer to the ground, and Janus here as well, going to create some mayhem up inside the cafe. Fate has fallen. Envy now to drop in just a moment, and okay, he's got 5 different targets to try and fire at. Agility steps forward a little bit too far. These rockets could be quite punishing. Libero still playing disciplined Overwatch, by the way. You can see that. They're well ahead. Libero there, just throw a couple rockets in there. I'm getting low on HP. I'm going to drop down a little bit more. New York very much making it look easy here on the stage. And that, Matt, is the 3-0.
Look, a lot of Overwatch's positioning, right? You know, New York is taking the space. They are punishing the Valiant, forcing them into positions with compositions they cannot fight out of.
This is going to be great tape for the Valiant to go over, I think, at the end of this season now. Not the way that they're hoping to end stage 2 at all, Matt, but a lot to go over, a lot to discuss. It's very clear to see how they were broken open. We're going to go to a break. Map 4 is around the corner.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Focus up, guys. Focus up.
We have the best players. We have the best fans.
Going into game. Going to 3. On 3.
We wanted to make sure that all the best players in the world were in the league, regardless of where they're from. You're really starting to see everybody really wants to up their game.
And with that victory in the previous map, the New York Excelsior cement their spot as the top seed coming out of stage 2 straight into their playoff match, and an opportunity to witness and watch their potential foes battle it out in the first game tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a lot like stage 1 for NYXL. These guys are not stopping at all, man. As it'll be Mono who comes in here for Janice yet again. So a little bit of a change up here in the main tank role as you know, Mono and Janice both like top tier tanks. Like, there's not really like anything bad you can say about either of them.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting discussion around sort of the differences of them. I think the prevalent sort of idea was that Janice was maybe less aggressive all the time. But I mean, look, you know, New York generally is a team that really loves to Fort Knox their backline, right? Get the walls up there, you know what I mean? Build some stuff. You're all about building walls and stuff, right, Matt?
Yeah,
You're doing that lately. You know, really make sure that backline is well protected. And people have considered them to be a defensive team as a result. And so much work is being done by people like Mano Mecha and Janus there, actually contributing in the damage sense as well as Jonar. It's so interesting, this team, with the exception of Arc when he's on Mercy. There's a very even damage spread across the entirety of New York.
Well, that's... I feel like a reason they're able to play so defensive is because Meko is such a great D.Va player, right? Sabio B can hold his own on Tracer. Like, you never really see him, like, out of position. Like, how many fights can you say that he's the first one dead?
You don't. Unless he dies to
like
Unco.
a Widowmaker snipe
like we saw him
like
on
that,
Volskaya once. Died at Unco when he tried to die the backline. It was actually in the Telestrator segment that Sideshow showed us, but it doesn't happen often.
No, he just does a great job of staying his life.
Staying his life?
Yeah, playing his life. Sorry, that's what I was going to say. You know, in a former, in a previous game I used to do, that was the big thing, playing your life. Just kind of in a respawn game mode, just trying to stay alive as long as possible. It sounds kind of obvious, but...
There's a reason why we have a self-preservation instinct, and that carries over into this game as well. There's a reason why hanging around is very important. And now as we head into Route 66, NYXL will start off on the defense. And again, when you see the stronger team, Matt, begin the map on defense, it's reasonable to say that it could be a shorter map, right? We saw that on Hollywood, right? Full hole on the first point. New York only had to get that first tick, or exceed what LA had. So the LA Valley want to push this one all the way. This is the last time we're going to see them on stage, this stage. And what a better way to go at them with a bang.
Now, Libero will play Widowmaker on defense. I think a lot of people expected Widowmaker play to go down here in Stage 2, but it's actually about the same Stage 1. Just how good she is here on the LAN client, obviously. And then you can combo her with Mercy. That kind of brings Mercy's pick rate up a little bit, as we've seen a lot of these two heroes still in Stage 2. That'll be an early pick there on Nasun.
Plus, she's more punishing against compositions that don't field Mercy, Matt, like this one from the LA Valiant. With Zenyatta and Lucio, remember, there's no burst healing, there's no biotic grenade, there's no, Mercy is quite fast rate of healing, if I do say so. Now you're sort of waiting on, AoE healing from Lucio and a single target Orb of Harmony. So this chip damage means a lot more in a grand scheme of things than it used to.
You also have to dive the Widowmaker really deep, right? If you're the offensive attacking team or the team that doesn't feel that Widowmaker. And what does it do? It leaves your supports wide open to flanks from players like Sabio B. You saw Mono right there just jump onto some of the support. So having a really good Widowmaker just creates so many opportunities for the rest of the team.
NYXL extending pretty deeply on the defense here. Maybe a little bit of an error that we saw the LA Valiant make, especially on Volskaya. They're coming forward here, and their aggression is sort of proven to be their foil. Valiant are able to push up. You can see Saviol again, lies in wait.
Yeah, Unco with a really fast Transcendence, as NYXL probably doesn't expect that. To be the infra sight from Libero.
That'll
so
give
Saviol be the vision here to land a pulse bomb.
Yeah, it means that he can also flank without anything unexpected, you know what I mean? He won't get caught halfway through. Oh, okay then! Envy, Soon, and Faith inside the corridor. Managed to deal 3 kills and a D-Suit on towards Meko. That should pretty much give this one to the Valiant here. Get them across the line, and Agilities will ensure that punctuating their point with a swift strike through Sabio B.
Really fast attack here for the Valiant, a lot like how they did on Volskaya, right? It was a really fast point A take. You take a look in the eyes of Envy here, as I imagine a lot of these players get stuck in the tunnel. Yep.
Splat.
Salva Rockets. He's also got the Transcendence from Unco coming in there to heal him. As look how deep the Valiant have pushed, just trying to catch NYXL off guard a little bit. You have Soon and Verbo, those two players still pushing the payload.
Remember, it was talked about on the desk. The only issue for the Valiant really has been the cohesion when it comes to this kind of play. It has caused them to overextend in the past, but as the attacking team, it's far less punishing for them to be so aggressive.
And as you mentioned, in that new video series from the Valiant, Kareev kind of mentioned that he wanted to still play support. Don't see him at all in the series.
He says, I am a support. Yeah. I am a support. And, he it was asked if he was on the main team or the sister team. He said both. So, it might give a hint to what's, coming for the Valiant in terms of how they're going to bring these two rosters together. It's great that they're doing that, though. You're going to have a Valkyrie used here into this fight. Arc is going to set this one up, and Agilities just doubles back to try and at least ward Sabio away from his backline. But, again, he's sort of spoiled for choice in terms of targets who are trying to chomp through his squishies. And he spotted a Widowmaker in the distance. Tries to make the approach, but look at that. Immediately, Defense Matrix is there from Meko. Completely shuts Agilities down. The awareness this guy has is ridiculous.
It's just always in the right position. You know, D.Va just such an important hero in the meta. You just need to have a top D.Va right now. And Meko is definitely one of them, as soon we'll switch off of Tracer, will go to Widowmaker here. So that's the response they're going to have for Libero. They're going to try and fight it Widow v Widow. Don't have the benefit of having a Mercy here for Soon. I know, most likely, obviously, you want to get used to this sound barrier. You're also going to get a Transcendence.
Look at this. Cheeky. That's all I say about it. Soon, not quite the one clip. He might actually get a one. No, not gonna happen. Oh, it's a pulse bomb as well. I think that may have forced the Transcendence. Yeah, it has done so. Saviolby really giving the Valiant no choice but now to come forward. Forced aggression may be turned against the Valiant here. The Agility's coming in with that Dragon Blade, but Fate was able to make good on the opening of that fight, man. Arc Libero fell to his Tester Cannon. Agility spots D.Va about to be desuited. He doesn't want to let Meko get the desuit. He's done well.
Now you have a response coming in from NYXL. As soon as they see Soon play Widowmaker, what are they going to do? You're going to have Libero switch to Genji. You're going to dive him, be extremely aggressive. And you know, although Agilities did use that blade, you know, picked up a few kills, Jonak was already out for the fight. So now you have a Transcendence here for NYXL that you'll be able to use with a Valkyrie, knowing that there's just that sound barrier on the other side.
Sound barrier here. The entirety of the Valiant, except Unco, received that. And now they're going to try and pressure forward, but the Transcendence kind of renders that sound barrier not very useful because the NYXL just sort of disengage and heal up. During that, now Fate's trying to get himself onto the backline here. Jonak, not to be denied though, was being healed up entirely. You actually probably can't kill him there when he's being healed by Arc, but that's it for the Valiant. Great work by Fate to separate the two supports.
And Unco went huge there. I know when both those supports start using their ults for NYXL, Libero and Mono jump onto Soon and Unco. Unco takes out Libero on the Genji, and then Mono on Winston. Sick plays there from Unco.
Again, it's all about separating the NYXL, or you know, putting someone like Meko or Mono in a position where they have to make a decision that puts them in a compromising spot. Envy as a self-destruct here, which is more useful on this particular stage than on some others, but Libero's already jumped in, so that's a defensive dive for the NYXL, paying off nicely. Not spending any ultimates on it as well. The Valiant were maybe hoping to force something out of NYXL on this kind of aggressive endeavor. It's not the case.
They'll be able to hold on to a few ultimates here. They're pushing extremely deep, trying to get into the spawn here.
And this is what Saviolby does. He just wraps around as soon as he has the pulse bomb. Again, could he force another Transcendence? That would be crushing for the Valiant if Unco has to use that ult preemptively.
Especially because you won't have it to combo with Blade unless you really kind of panic and use Blade at the same time, but then you're going to have Valkyrie and Transcendence on the other side.
Yeah, there it is. He's done it. He didn't have to use the pulse bomb to do it. The Transcendence is out, and Jonak says, well, oh, you've used yours, I might as well use mine. And now Libero's going to come in with a Dragon Blade. He's got himself one. Agilities was cut to pieces before he had a chance to reach for the heavy weaponry. Saviolby down to Envy, so, you know, NYXL can't go too deep on this one. They don't want to hang around for too long. Can back up a little bit here.
Yeah, they did end up using both of their support ults there, NYXL, so now you'll have a Valkyrie plus Dragon Blade combination here for the Valiant. But
how great is that?
It's kind of difficult. I mean, look, you get damage boost Agilities, but Genji is such a fragile hero, right? That especially Winston does such a large amount of damage to him. You know, potentially a primal rage just knocks him out of the way.
All right, here's the Agility's Dragon Blade. He's actually found Libero to start off the fight, so that's definitely not too bad. Meko also falling to his hand. No! Somehow he's caught from the grave, and Meko from beyond removes him with a self-destruct. But now Unco, Envy, Fate, flanking the payload, pushing it forward awfully quick. Jonak takes a chunk of damage and has to back away inside the corridor for the time being. 59 seconds left on the clock here. Fate with a Primal Rage to open this fight up. He and Envy have ultimates. Verbo doesn't have his, and Unco's trying to farm his next Transcendence. Good peel back from Fate here, but the Primal Rage will deny him the kill on Mono.
Yeah, it was Mono and Saviolby on the flank yet again, so that's going to force members of the Valiant back as Mono gets pretty weak. He's able to make it all the way back to his supports. You know, Arc able to farm up a little bit more towards that Valkyrie as well, you know, healing up that Primal Rage Winston.
Again, another composition change here for the NYXL. They go from Widowmaker to Genji dive. Now they switch to McCree, anti-dive. Libero sitting back here, who was probably hoping someone chased Mono there as his Primal Rage expired. He was waiting for them. 20 seconds remain in the round. Jonak will have a Transcendence for this fight, as will Unco. This is about to get heavy.
Yeah, and Soon is going to go to Widowmaker here because you're really putting an emphasis on getting these picks towards the later end of the game, getting that player advantage.
Saviolby opts not to flank deeply this time. He knows he needs to play a little bit more conservatively, but he wants to put his pulse bomb to good use. He spots Verbo, he sticks the Mercy! There's no way he's going to survive that one! One support ultimate has been taken off the board, and Unko knows he has to use his immediately now, and he pressures forward. But no one on the NYXL is taking damage right now, no one at all! Sabiobi shuts down soon. He found 2 kills in this fight already, and Agility's valiantly living up to the name, trying to make something happen, but the Dragon Blade fizzles. It's all for naught. Now to self-destruct up here for Envy. Libero just going to step back and avoid most of the blast radius. Soon is brought back late in the fight. That's because Verbo's rejoined with that Valkyrie in tow. Fate flash and down. And the Valiant heard it off the payload. And they will not get that 3rd point. Let's hear about the point A push for the Valiant. Let's see how they set that one up. Let's get some comps.
Always think the Widow. With the top, with the top. Yeah. Monkey under. Widow still top. With the debuff. Okay, I'm here. Okay. Wait. I doing my shot. Come in. Widow upper, no hook. Go down. Oh, Zen is. Oh, can you go? Do you have amp?
Yeah.
Let's go. Amp. I want the Zen. I'm coming.
You hear Fate there calling out all of the targets there that they're going to focus there for the Valiant, but we caught a little bit of it towards the end from Libero's POV when Agilities comes in with the Dragon Blade. That's what they were so good this, when they were on Immortals, right? Where Agilities would use the blade when he goes in. You saw Fate come in and put that Winston bubble as well, kind of protecting him though. He has to go a little bit further out, and he's already a little bit weak there, so he's not able to do a ton.
I mean, at that point, we talked about Agility's struggling to get a lot of value out of those blades. We actually saw it with his previous blade. He did get 2 kills, but then died to Meko's self-destruct after he killed him, which is, for those that, most of you probably know this, but really don't want to allow that to happen. You don't want to die to a self-destruct in an avoidable scenario like that. But again, Unko had to use his trance early because Verbo got picked off at the start of the fight by Sabiobi's pulse bomb. Sabiobi then, after getting rid of Verbo, just goes on and kills Soon. So all of a sudden, not only is that important support ultimate taken away, you've lost most of your firepower. And from then, Agilities had no choice but to blade without a Transcendence. Wasn't good enough.
What I love about how Sabiobi and NYXL play is like he'll get a pick like that on Tracer and then he'll recall. You usually see a lot of Tracers just blink right back in. But what they do is, that forces the Valiant to turn and look for him. When they turn and look for him, then Mono and Meko come in from the other side. Then the Valiant you kind of freak out a little bit. You're like, okay, these big tanks are in your way. Then you forget about Sabiobi, and then he comes back in, where his recall is about like 50% towards that cooldown again.
Classic misdirection. It takes 4 seconds or so for him to return back. So yeah, you will have another one.
And you'll have full blinks by then.
There you go. Half Sabiobi's kills in this map have been Soon. The Widowmaker, it's a bit tough for him to make that one work. I guess that's why you saw Libero feeling confident enough to switch to the McCree, despite the Widowmaker being present, because he trusted Sabiobi to mitigate the threat of the sniper.
Is that? I would also say, as the push comes in here from the Valiant, they're going to play pretty aggressive on the defensive end. They don't have a Sombra, but Agility, some nice movement they're able to stay on. But
I mean, the fact that he alley-oops the next rocket into him as well.
I would say that's one of the more impressive things about Sabiobi, and why I would say he is the best Tracer right now, is the fact that he is out there.
Oh my God, it's filthy!
He's out there battling other DPS players. It's not like he's like farming up, pulse bombs on divas and tanks and just trying to pick off supports. He is actively looking for the opposing Tracer and taking those duels all the time.
Can we just point out that's another example of LA's defensive dive that goes horribly wrong. They get a pick, they trade 1 for 1, then they lose 2 more players. Again, if you want to do this, you want to be aggressive on the defense, then the coordination has to be there. Otherwise, don't play defensive dive.
And this is where you miss that. You see, he gets Hunko extremely weak and then backs out. So Soon is there as well, but
guess what he's got?
Agilities will switch over to 76 here, and this is where you miss, kind of having that Genji 76 Widowmaker player, right? Because now if they wanted to run, now if they want to run Widow, Soon switches to Widow. So now they don't have that Tracer to put pressure on the back line. So now you're dedicating, both your DPS players are getting Libero out of the sky. There's no threat on Jonak to go on the flank here.
And Libero knows. Yeah, he knows. He just switches off to the Widowmaker now. So, he had a barrage in Pharaoh, but he knew that there was just no point keeping it. So now we have the Widow duel that Soon has been consistently on the losing side of for this entire series. NYXL are a couple of steps ahead at every turn.
And here you see Agilities is going to play some Tracer. So you will have now a flanking player here for the Valiant. So that changes things up a bit.
I like that. It's a mid-game adaptation to shore up a weakness that they've been suffering from having the Widow in there. But Libero picks Soon off. If he can't win the Widow v Widow, he's got to switch off. He's got to try for something else. Let's see. Sabiobi's causing a lot of problems now. So Agility stepping up on the Tracer. Be interesting to see what we get from him. or kind of style, but there's 2 support ults in play for Jonak and Arc. Unco has the trans, but you know Sabiel, he'll be looking to force that out.
And he backs up, gets the effects that Harmony Orb is. See, Libero here also does have that pocket that's coming in from Arc as Arc. You have both support ults here for NYXL. As you know, they're not even anywhere near the payload. You see, they want to take this fight straight up, then they want to push the payload on home.
Libero can set up such great opportunities right now for Mano to follow up on his damage. Like, he's getting these supports down to half HP. Fate has fallen, care of Meko. Libero had an infosight, so he knows where everyone is right now. That's why he feels confident here. Again, Transcendence, Widowmaker doesn't really care about that if you're going to hit headshots. Libero's shown himself to be very adept at performing that role. Oh, guess who's got themselves into the cookie jar? Both supports in the backline, and Mano just punching his way through, and Sabiel's there to join him. That's the dive. That's the coordination that the Valiant are very envious of, watching this game or seeing what's being done to them.
Yeah, Jonak will keep everybody else alive using his Transcendence, as now Mano's going to use that Primal Rage. Just knocking Soon back on the Widowmaker. He has absolutely no option here. Trying to make it up towards that mega health pack.
Not a great time for high heals soon.
Zero chance there.
And that'll be your second checkpoint coming in for the NYXL. Almost seemed like a foregone conclusion after they started off this fight, and just the hero switches in advance. So Agilities has said, okay, enough of this. I'm playing the Genji. Soon you're going to play the Tracer. This is what really was the big play for the Valiant in stage 1. This is what paved their way through to almost the playoffs. That's such a good season based on this setup. See if they can replicate that. Verbo has Valkyrie. Jonak did use his Transcendence earlier on. So NYXL a little bit light on ultimates here. First pick is Order of the Day for New York.
You know, this probably would have been a time if you're a Valiant fan, you know, maybe you wanted to see Silk Thread, as he can play all those heroes that we had mentioned before, the 76 Widow. Sabiel will be just lurking behind Unco here. Gets him really weak, but that just causes so much chaos here, as it's going to be Verbo using that Valkyrie, but not enough to keep Unco alive.
Right, so here's that dive again from the Valiant, but their backline gets infiltrated at the start of it, so of course it's not going to work out. They lack their healing. Jonak being brought back by Arc. Also a boon for NYXL, and that's putting it lightly. Agilities will get chased down. He'd used his reflect recall, and Sabiel will be sitting behind Unco like, here we have the Wild Omnic in his natural habitat, and then goes and tries and kills him. Like, he has time to do this. Valiant had to push now, Matt. Last fight, they're setting up for it. It all ends here.
And Arc's got Valkyrie. Libero makes a change over to McCree, so you see just the adjustment so good here. So the Pulse Bomb that doesn't connect, but still now Unco's just kind of, oh, there it is.
Oh no!
Nobody gets on the cart there for the Valiant.
Know what's happened? Once again.
Oh, again.
The LA Valiant. I'm sorry, give me a moment here. Oh, the Valiant weren't able to get to the payload in time. Obviously.
It looks like New York's even confused about how the game ended there. They're all standing up.
You know, we're getting to the end.
Won. They don't know how, but they have won.
We're getting to the end of the stage. It's all falling apart. But I have to say there, the LA Valiant, stage 2, definitely a tough one for them. Internal conflicts, coaching changes, roster swaps, seeing, you know, players put in different roles. It's been a tough road for them. A baptism of fire for Verbo now, just having stepped into the roster in this stage. A time for rebuilding now over the next week or so, but it's good to see their final showing here on stage. They were just a cut below the NYXL.
Still a ton of time left in the Overwatch League season, though, for the Valiant to turn it around. 20 more games for them to do it. But it's NYXL taking this match today in a dominant 4-0 fashion.
And he said Libero definitely was part of this. Huge performance from him. Farah, Widowmaker, whatever you like. Agility's about to get domed here. Not much to be done at all. NYXL, they're looking good. First seed for the playoffs tomorrow. We're going to have some spicy matches, but for now, we're going to head to the desk in just a moment to break this game down.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
The NYXL just pulled off the clean sweep against the LA Valiant. And I'm joined by my man, Ark, here. Quite the fan favorite you are, sir. Ark, you guys have been dominating pretty much the entire stage. You only lost one time, and you're back in the stage finals. How does it feel, man?
Actually, in the stage 1, we thought that we might not be able to hold the first place in the stage 2, but it's great that we can be here again.
So you're feeling pretty good about it. Awesome, man. All right, so I gotta know, there are 3 other teams still left in the running. We got the Philadelphia Fusion, we have the LA Gladiators, and then we have the London Spitfire. Which of those 3 teams do you want to see in the stage finals?
We hope to see the London again to do the revenge, I guess.
You want the revenge?
Yep.
I imagine so. All right. Well, we'll see what happens tomorrow. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and break down that crazy match we just had and send it back to the desk. Take it away, Puckett.
Thank you so much, Malik. One more time for Ark, one of the best support players in the game today. New York walks away with the 4-0 victory. We're going to walk you through how they got there. And I want to start with the tank discussion because as you saw throughout this series, you have a fantastic main tank in Mono. But at times, they got another guy. Jonas was back in the lineup for the second half here. And I want to ask you, Sideshow, what is the decision-making going on in New York's lineup when you want to put Jonas into the game?
So we often talk about these 2 tanks, and we kind of class Mano as the more aggressive tank and Janus as the more passive tank, and you can actually see how it plays out in the map. Janus likes to hide a lot more. He doesn't take early damage. If you get early damage on your Winston, it basically shuts down your push. So I've got a Telestrator to go through kind of how Janus likes to play when he's on Hollywood. Hollywood is great because slow styles are perfect. So the guy that you're going to be keeping your eye out here for is Janus. And after he hops a little bit over to this corner, he's then just going to chill out inside this corridor area in here. So he takes a leap over, and then he spends a lot of time completely out of sight lines. He can't tell what LA Valiant are doing at all. He's just chilling in the corridor, wandering around.
Blind.
Basically, he is
like
just
a baby
hiding.
mole.
He is like a baby mole. That is exactly how I describe him. So Janus is here. He's relying on the calls for all the rest of his team. And as the rest of the LA Valiant initiate over the point, obviously a lot of other Winstons, you would expect them to hold around here to be able to actually see what's going on and then apply some kind of frontline pressure. But instead, Janus is going to wait for the call from the rest of his team. Still, they have no idea where Janus is. Janus has no idea where they are other than the calls of their team. And he waits until they're in a position where he can just kind of drop onto them. He's inside. He's waiting for the call from the rest of his team. Now, once they've committed with Fate and Envy at the top, so see here again, Fate and Envy have already committed. There's space. The backline is now open for Janus to be able to get into them. And so now his opportunity. Doesn't have to use a leap, just drops down on top of Soon, and they're able to take him out with the dive. And so that's the kind of play that you see from Janus repeatedly when he's put in, is that he likes to hide much more so that he's not able to take that early damage. So you're not allowed to unjuggle you're not allowed to juggle the Diva in the same sense. You can't apply the same pressure.
So you're telling me I can play main tank and I don't have to be the focus of the enemy's attention all the time?
Yeah, as long as you hide out of the way where they won't expect you to be, they're not going to be able to put damage on you, but you have to listen to the rest of your team, Puckett, because if they tell you that it's time to go in, you have to go in. You can't be baiting them forever.
I love how
Please join team chat, guys. Please join team chat.
I'm giving you a little lecture as well.
Thank you, Sideshow. You're the best mercy we have on staff. Let's go into the highlights of game number 3. Hollywood had a whole bunch of highlights coming through. My favorite player to watch, though, is the Zenyatta today. I got the B Zenyatta. Jonak has just been popping off, and I was talking to Hex about it. He said, you know, a lot of people have the misconception that Jonak only does so much damage because he constantly has a Mercy. Game 1 and 2, he didn't have a whole lot of Mercy play. Jonak always putting up the numbers.
Yeah, no, he's just a straight boss man at the end of the day. Like, on that one role in particular, he's always turning up big time. Another person that we need to talk about, again, it would be a little bit unfair if we didn't say by Orbi, just constantly coming out with unreal sticks. Like, the unbelievable consistency of his pulse bombs. It seems like he always manages to get a kill with it, at least when it's up almost every single time. But you are completely correct in that Janus was, or Jonak, I should say, was a great player in this one particular match on Hollywood. And I think so much so that once again, Valiant realized as we got later on into the other map, into Route 66, then they started putting a bit more of a focus on it because he was having a great game, really just sort of hard carrying on that support role.
And you'll also notice that the games where you're highlighting his stats decreasing is because LA Valiant are playing dive. They're playing Genji and they're playing the Tracer as well. So that was what they were playing for Volskaya, where they really tried to focus him. That's what they played when they went into Route 66. So they still have this passive style. They're still trying to protect Jonak, but they kind of hang him out as bait a bit more when the other team's running dive. Whereas if both teams are slow, he's just fragging out, as you say.
We saw the Valiant make an attempt on the attack for Route 66, but once again, it's New York too strong. And we're going to roll the highlights here, but really the discussion I have is when you're looking at teams like New York and London and you're getting ready for these playoffs, should you reconsider running a Zenyatta because it looks like a free kill every single time we went to Sabiobi's screen?
I think a lot of it depends on how good the enemy team is at exploiting a lot of this stuff. So a lot of Zenyatas are very good at their positionings, right? So they're not going to get picked off as easily. But then you're up against top-tier Tracers, in which case you really don't have a choice on the matter. You just got to hope that your team's playing better with the D.Va, playing better, I guess, with the Winston as well, and peeling for those defensive, for those positionings, and when you're getting focused down a lot more.
Yeah, the question is as well, what do you run instead of a Zenyatta? If you run a Moira in that situation, you're missing out all the damage that somebody like Jonak can provide, along with the Discord target that makes individual focus targeting way easier. If you run a Lucio, yeah, it's more difficult to dive you, but again, you're not really getting as much damage out, and you're not being able to focus down kills as quickly. First picks, they win team fights about 75% of the time. So Discord, extra damage. No, that's a stat. That is a stat.
Okay.
That is a stat.
Again, I'm not going to argue with it because there's no way for me to actually try and find out if that's true or not.
Yeah, well, we'll talk to Captain Planet a little bit later. For now, let's crown somebody. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
It's our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP, and it's SBB, baby. Sabiobi in your back line, tearing up your supports all day long.
Yeah, and again, we mentioned it earlier, but this guy, very consistent player across the board, always getting a kill with his pulse at least. And, I mean, if your statistics, Sideshow, is correct, you know, he's getting that opening pick 75% of the time or 100% of the time, and then they win the team fight 75% of the time. I'm pulling out numbers out of thin air here.
88% of him.
88%, 90%, who knows?
Yeah. 60% of the time, Sabiobi wins the fight 100% of the time.
Terrible quotes here on the desk. We're going to act like that didn't happen. There are some numbers from SBB, and remember, he's coming back tomorrow, gunning for that Stage 2 title match. New York locks up the #1 spot in the bye to the Grand Finals. We've got 2 matches down, but now we got one more big one to go. On the other side of the commercial break, make some noise, LA. We find out who will be joining London and New York in the playoffs. Will it be the Philadelphia Fusion? Will Boston help them out? Or is it going to be your LA Gladiators? We find out after this.